So the sunglasses door on a 2007 Ford Expedition. There's some videos available to show you how to repair this pin so that it will retain in that clip right there. But I couldn't find a video to show me how to fix that broken hinge right there. See how that hinge is? You can't really tell, but I'll take it apart and show it to you. But that's the spring that helps that hinge, and that plastic is split in half. I couldn't find parts or a video on how to repair that, so I'm going to go ahead and do a video, and I'll pull this apart and we will get in there and put that hinge back together with some JB Weld. I tried it once, it didn't work, so since I have to come in again, I thought, well, let's do a little short video on it. Maybe it'll help somebody. So let's get this thing pulled apart. Pulling the case away from it, and I'll be able to do that and pop this out. Okay, it's going to be hard to see, but you can see the detent slot, and so I'm going to press these needle nose pliers into that slot, and I'm going to pull this apart with my thumb as I do it, and see if we can get that to pop apart. All right, there we go. So that's how you get that off of there. Now what I want to show you is that this has the detent, but it has a flat side right here on the top there. It's flat, and the rest of it's round with a detent. And so this, on the drawer itself, there is a spot, right, where there's a flat spot, and the slot in it where the detent lines up. So that's how we have to put it back together. In the meantime, let's not change the relationship between these two gears, because this will just slide right out. See, if I could pull it, it would slide out, but let's keep it in the orientation with these gears, and that way when we put it back in, it'll come back together. So we're going to leave that alone, and now we need to slide this piece on this side out. So we've got to manipulate the drawer, or the door, up and out of there. So we kind of flatten it out, gives us room to slide it this way out of that hinge. Now you can see that the hinge is made out of that black plastic piece, and here's the other side of that black plastic hinge piece is right here. It swivels. This one here is attached to this spring, right? So we need to get that spring off of there, and that's a little bit of a job, but we'll go ahead and do that now. So I'm going to turn this over. Like I said, be careful of these gears. Keep them in an orientation where they're not being disturbed. All right, so now I have to pop this spring out of here, and we're going to pop it up, and it's going to come around this way and unwind to loosen it up so that we can get it out of that position that it's in now. All right, so there's no tension on it, but there's a little slot in the plastic, right? A little slot right there in that plastic. So I need to get this spring out of there before that will slide through the hole to where I get a hold of it. So blocking your view there. Yeah, it was a bit of a bear the last time. So there we go. Once you get it to start sliding off, then you can kind of see better what is happening. You get a grip on it. You need to slide it out of the slot. There it goes. So now it's out. So I'll set this aside. Don't lose it. Now I want to pull this out from the inside. So it's right here, right? So we're just going to pop it out this way. All right. See, so it'll go right back in there. We'll put all this assembly together first, and then it will slide this one in back to the detent. So let's set this console, overhead console aside. Come back to the pieces that we're trying to repair. Now, could probably buy that but I thought I could JB Weld it, and I was unsuccessful. I'm gonna give it one more shot, because why not? I've got JB Weld and it's cheap and free. So see, this piece is the piece that came off. I didn't have enough JB Weld on it. This side stayed put. I don't know if I can get that off or not. I'm gonna try to see if it'll pop off. If that'll pop off, then we'll clean it up and we'll start over. That one appears to be on there pretty stout, so that one may have had just a little more JB Weld for it. Got a better bond, whatever. In any case, that doesn't want to come off, so I'm not going to force it. I certainly don't want to break the gray, light brown plastic piece off, but there's no reason. I mean, it functioned fine before the JB Weld let go and this piece let go. So see, this piece goes on just like so. So I'm going to go ahead and clean this up a little bit, put some more on it, and I'm going to put it back in place and throw a rubber band around it and see if I get a better performance this time. So I'm going to scrub these parts down. Just a little bit of alcohol and a Q-tip. Just get in all the cracks. Hit the edges of all the pieces, even the surface, and anywhere the JB Weld may end up contacting. And we'll clean all the surfaces of the hinge itself, the inside edges of it. I'm going to have to go find a rubber band. And one of the things we don't want to do when we put the JB Weld on, we want to be careful of the slot that the spring goes in. And we want to keep that clear. And actually, this entire portion right here that is the hinge itself, the spring rides around, that's the portion of the hinge that pivots in the plastic housing. So we don't want any JB Weld on this part that protrudes. We'll stick the JB Weld right to this component right here, this portion of it. Alright, so we don't need a large amount of JB Weld. You can see here I mixed and used some the other day, so I'm just going to mix this up right here, and this will be plenty for this small job. Now you want to mix this till it has no variation in the color, no variation. You want to see a consistent tone of gray, so you know you've got all the hardener and all the catalyst built into it. And let's see if we can put some on here first and get it to lay where I want it to be. Let's put some on this piece, and I'm probably putting down more than I need, but I didn't get enough down the last time, so just put a thin layer on it here. I'll press some into the voids of this cavity. And we're going to want some on all the surfaces that touch each other, so let's put a little bit right here on this surface, because that's going to touch the other surface. Put some right here on this edge, this edge, and around this broken edge right here. And fit this into place on the door, and we're just going to line it up with the slots that are in the metal itself, or the plastic itself, and squeeze it into place. Now, I've made contact everywhere, and it's oozing out just about everywhere. I'm going to take some of that excess off because I don't want it right there. Don't want it right there. I don't want any on the surface where that spring goes, because that's also my hinge surface, so I want to keep that clean as possible. Take some of this excess off where it's sticking out. I'm going to see if I can stretch a rubber band around that to hold that tight together. So I'm going to set my JB Weld product out of the way. If you're using a knife that you want to keep, clean it off right away. This doesn't set up super fast, so you don't have to freak out about it, but clean it all off as soon as it's practical. You're going to have some on your hands, but that's the way it goes. Let's take our rubber band here, see what we can do. Alright, a small pair of vice grips would have been good too, but I squeezed the surface down where I wanted it to mate. The rubber band helps put a little tension on it. Gonna leave that to cure. I've checked the gap right here, and it's sufficient for the spring. I'm gonna have to clean up a little bit of that JB Weld where that rubber band slipped up, but it won't be too big a deal, and I will clean it up before we reinstall it and check it out. So do a quick check, see if you've got any JB Weld smears. I got a little bit there. I might want to clean that up pretty quick. But that should be all right. After that cures, we'll put it back together and we'll see how it goes back together. So here you can see I've removed all the clamps and the rubber band. There was quite a bit of rubber band debris jammed up in there, but I dug in there, picked it all out. My son pointed out that when you look at it, it looks a little bit, he thinks it looks a little crooked this way, and it could be. I think it's gonna work though, but I'm gonna clean up this pin that's slotted right here. You see the slot right in there? That's where the spring goes, and you can tell that it's clear through, but I'm gonna clean the outside edge of it up a little bit, because this is where it rides in the housing for the console. This part here is actually hidden, and it's kind of, it looks a little bit cobbled up with that JB Weld, but it's actually hidden from view, so I'm not too worried about the appearance of that, but I will clean up this edge on this part that protrudes, because that's your bushing. I'm just gonna use my little pocket knife, clean that up a little bit, and see if I can't get this thing ready to put back together. And I didn't get much on it, but there's a little bit here. There's not too much there, really. I think we're going to try that and see how that goes. a few boogers around that edge. Just gonna clean that up a little. Let's do a test fit and see if it fits in there in the console. So, yeah, so it's going to drop in like so, right? But this end has the little nipple that has the index with this hole here. And so we'll slide it in like that. But before I do that, I want to test the other end. Just slide it through this hole. I'm just going to slide it through this hole right here and test the clearance and see if it's going to pivot for me. There we go. Turn that around so you can see what I'm talking about. So see, it fits through there just fine. It's got plenty of clearance. Yeah, so it's got plenty of clearance. It'll slide in there easily enough. And so what we're going to have to do, now that I've got it in there, I'm going to have to come over to this side, you see, and push it back onto that piece right there. That's going to be the tricky part of this whole job. And so, all right, now, there we go. See, that just popped right in there. It indexes with the lock. So see, it indexes and pivots just like it's designed, just like the other one. See, that one works. It doesn't have a spring on it yet, but see, it pivots perfectly. See, that's how it's supposed to function. Same way this one functions. Yep. So now we can move on, right? Clean up some of this debris. Keep the spring. And now the trickiest part of the whole job is reinstalling this spring back in the slot here. And the trick is we've got to get this on there in the right orientation, and we need about a half a turn of tension on it. So turn a little bit so you can see what I'm working with. So I've got to get it in there, and I need a half a turn because the last time I did this, a full turn was just way too much tension. So I think what I need to do is turn it here. See, this line here, as this one is, see, I can compare it to this one. This spring is this end of the spring that's straight is actually pointing down on this other door. So it needs to start that way here on this door, right? That point of that spring needs to go in that slot at that angle pointing down. Then I can wrap a half a turn on it and snap it into place. So that's what we're going to try to do. There it goes. You hear it snap in there? See, it's snapped in place. And so now it's in its orientation identical to this door. But now I'm going to go ahead and turn that spring half a turn and lay it into the groove. And hold it against the body, give it a half a turn, get it up there, over that edge. Now I'll use my pocket knife or my pliers here, and I'll lift it over into the groove it's supposed to ride in. There it goes. See that? Now it's in the groove. Let's see how it functions. There it opens, right? Hold it close and lock. Closes and locks. All right. So depress it, opens, closes and locks. See that? So you can see it from the side. It opens. You can see that hinge right there rotating, and the spring is unwinding it. See? Open and then closes. And this gear set is identical to this gear set, so they're both doing their jobs. And they just give you what that does is give you a little resistance as that door opens so that it doesn't come flying open all together. All right, so that is back together. Now the first time I did this, let's see here. So you can't see with that closed, you can't see any of that repair that I did. It's completely out of your line of sight and invisible. Let's see what happens when I open the door. Now, if you look way up in there, right, you can see that there's been some repair work done to that. But at a glance from a distance, you can't see that it's any different than this one. They're just black. So that JB Weld, hopefully this time it'll hold. I got less than a day out of it the last time. So we'll see. I'll go out and install it in the car. And it's about 100 degrees this week. So if it's going to have issues, it should have it now. If not, it'll happen in the winter time. We'll go give it a shot. So there's our hole where this console goes back in. We've got a wire hanging out here. We're going to plug that into the fixture right there where it belongs, and then snap these 4 pins back into place. These 4 pins go into these slots up in here. So let's just plug this back in. There we go. All right, that's back in place. That's our original door, still functioning with the mirror in it. Here's the one that we just repaired. Works perfectly. And it'll hold my sunglasses now, or my car wash coupons, which started this whole problem. So let's see here. I'll drop my car wash coupons up in there. In a 2007 Expedition with the overhead console and sunglass holder. I guess the mirror repair would be the same, but that's how you do it with JB Weld. And if Papa can't fix it, I can sure fix it where no one else can.